300 meters beneath pitch-black ocean surface. A Russian submarine captain's hand hovered over the final button one press. One cable severed, trillions of dollars in chaos. NATO's communication. Backbone shattered. The mission was 60 seconds from completion when his sonar operator whispered 3 words that froze every man in the control room. "We are illuminated." Impossible. They'd been silent for 48 hours, undetected by German frigates, invisible to Swedish patrol boats. Russia's black hole submarine that had never been caught. But what happened in the next 90 seconds would expose the deadliest secret in modern warfare, and prove that challenging the United States Navy in these waters was not just dangerous, it was suicidal. The Russians had chosen their target with surgical precision because deep below the Baltic surface ran something more valuable than oil pipelines, more critical than shipping lanes. A fiber optic cable no thicker than a garden hose carrying the invisible lifeblood of Western civilization. Financial transactions worth trillions, military communications, intelligence data flowing between NATO capitals. Sever that cable and you don't just cut a wire. You perform digital surgery on the entire alliance's nervous system. Moscow West planners understood something profound about 21st century conflict. You don't need firing missiles or invading territories to cripple an enemy. You strike where they're vulnerable, where attribution is murky, where plausible deniability shields you from direct retaliation. This is hybrid warfare at its most sophisticated, a bloodless act of aggression inflicting catastrophic damage while leaving no smoking gun. The submarine they selected embodied Russian naval philosophy perfectly, with advanced acoustic dampening technology, rendering it nearly invisible to passive sonar systems, electric propulsion systems allowing it to glide through water, generating almost no acoustic signature. At depths exceeding 200 meters, moving at barely 3 knots, it became what submariners call a hole in the ocean, a void where detection systems registered nothing but ambient noise. Russian confidence was in baseless arrogance because for 2 full days this underwater ghost had evaded every German and Swedish naval asset in the region, where their sonar operators heard nothing, their magnetic sensors registered nothing. The submarine's captain, a veteran of countless covert operations, watched his navigation screens with the satisfaction of a chess master executing perfect endgame. His orders from Moscow were explicit and non-negotiable. Execute the mission. Under no circumstances retreat. But Moscow's admirals had made a fatal assumption, believing NATO's northern flank remained a patchwork of national navies with limited coordination, each operating within its own technological and bureaucratic silos. They assumed Swedish and Finnish NATO membership, though recent, hadn't fundamentally altered the Baltic strategic reality. Most critically, they underestimated what happens when the United States Navy enters the equation with its full technological arsenal. The Baltic had indeed transformed into something unprecedented, where with Finland and Sweden now flying the NATO flag, this inland sea had essentially become an alliance lake surrounded on nearly all sides by member states. For Russia, this represented strategic encirclement, a noose tightening around its northwestern territories. The submarine crept closer to its target coordinates, its crew operating in complete silence protocols where every system that could generate noise was shut down or minimized. The vessel relied on passive sensors listening to the ocean without revealing its presence, and in the control room, officers communicated through hand signals and whispered commands. The technical team prepared their specialized equipment tape, device designed to cut through armored fiber optic cable with mechanical precision. They were 300 meters from their objective when the trap closed around them. What the Russians didn't realize was that they'd been tracked for the past 80 minutes, not by Swedish frigates or German patrol boats, but by a technological ecosystem so integrated, so responsive that it functioned less like separate military units and more like a single distributed organism with sensors everywhere and processing power that could turn raw data into actionable targeting information in seconds. High above the Baltic, a United States Navy P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft traced geometric patterns across the sky, conducting what wasn't just surveillance but the orchestration of a detection grid combining multiple sensing technologies into overwhelming information advantage. The aircraft deployed sonobuoys in mathematically calculated positions, creating an underwater listening network spanning over 100 square nautical miles. Each buoy transmitted acoustic data in real time, feeding into analysis systems that could distinguish a submarine propeller, signature from biological noise, commercial shipping, and natural ocean phenomena. But the acoustic network was only one dimension of this hunt, because trailing behind the aircraft, A 15-foot magnetic sensor boom continuously scanned Earth's magnetic field below. Submarines, regardless of how quiet they run, cannot hide their massive metal mass where every vessel creates. Magnetic anomaly, a distortion in the background field that sensitive equipment can detect. When that anomaly matched the known profile of a Russian submarine and correlated with faint acoustic traces, the puzzle pieces snapped together with damning clarity. The data fusion happened automatically, instantaneously, where information from the patrol aircraft, from NATO surface warships, from subsurface sensors all flowed into a tactical data network operating at the speed of light. The central node of this network was an American Arleigh-Burke-class destroyer, whose combat systems representing the pinnacle of naval warfare technology. Aegis radar systems, originally designed to track incoming missiles, had evolved into something far more. Versatile, processing millions of data points per second, correlating information from dozens of sources, presenting human operators with clear tactical picture, where Russian submariners saw only the darkness of deep water. In the destroyer's Combat Information Center, the tactical action officer watched her displays with professional calm as the submarine appeared not as speculation or possibility but as a confirmed target with 98% confidence rating. Its exact position, speed, and heading were displayed with precision that would have seemed impossible just decades earlier. And the combat system had already calculated firing solutions pre-selecting weapons from vertical launch cells that could deliver torpedoes directly onto target with supersonic speed and pinpoint accuracy. The critical moment arrived when the submarine reached its sabotage position, and inside its control room, the captain issued the command to prepare deployment of the cutting. Device, a routine order he'd given before on similar missions. But as an external valve opened with a tiny mechanical click, something changed because that sound, barely perceptible even to the submarine's own sensors, registered on the passive sonobuoy network. The acoustic signature combined with magnetic anomaly data eliminated any remaining uncertainty. What happened next was a masterclass in coercive force without actual violence, where the goal wasn't to sink the submarine, which would risk escalation into open conflict, but the goal was to prove beyond any doubt that it had been detected, tracked, and targeted with such precision that its survival existed only because NATO chose to permit it. A Swedish submarine operating nearby as part of coordinated exercises fired an acoustic jamming device where the shock wave was unexplosive, but its effect was immediate and devastating. The Russian submarine sonar systems went completely blind, overwhelmed by a wall of noise that obliterated their situational awareness. And in an instant, they went from hunters to prey, from invisible operators to exposed targets flailing in confusion. Then came the demonstration. The American destroyer launched a training missile with its warhead removed, but its guided systems fully operational. The weapon climbed skyward at 3 times the speed of sound, executed perfect trajectory correction, and impacted the water directly above the submarine's position, carrying no explosives. But its message was unmistakable. This is where you are. This is how precisely we can target you. If we wanted you dead, you would be. Active sonar buoys dropped from the patrol aircraft completed the psychological assault where powerful acoustic pings began hammering the submarine's hull, destroying any remaining illusion of stealth. But the most chilling moment came through a data transmission, a digital message sent directly to the submarine through the sonobuoy network, containing a single coordinate matching the submarine's own navigation systems with an error margin of less than 5 meters. The text that accompanied it was brief and devastating. Target locked, disengage immediately. Failure to comply will result in escalation. In the Russian control room, the captain faced an impossible choice that was actually no choice at all. Continue the mission, and face weapons that were already locked on, or retreat and admit complete tactical failure. He chose survival, ordering maximum speed retreat, where the submarine accelerated from its stealthy crawl to full propulsion, becoming as acoustically loud as a freight train underwater, and any possibility of plausible deniability evaporated in that moment. The mission was aborted, the cable remained intact, and Moscow's supposedly invisible operation had become a documented, tracked, and defeated act of aggression. The intelligence coup this represented cannot be overstated because the submarine's acoustic signature at high speed, recorded by multiple NATO assets under specific environmental conditions, became a permanent entry in sonar databases where future detection would be exponentially easier. The technological profile of Russian tactics equipment and operational procedures was now fully documented, and the psychological impacted the proof that NATO US detection and response capabilities operated at a level Moscow had clearly underestimated, would influence Russian naval planning for years. The aftermath was silence from Moscow, with no official statements, no denials, no diplomatic protests, and the absence of response was itself an admission. How do you deny something when your adversary can produce time-stamped multi-source data proving exactly what happened? The submarine that Russian naval propaganda had promoted as undetectable had been caught, cornered, and forced to flee with its mission incomplete and its stealth capabilities permanently compromised. For the United States Navy and its NATO partners, this represented something more significant than preventing one act of sabotage. It demonstrated the overwhelming advantage that comes from integration, from combining air, surface, and subsurface assets into a seamless detection and response network. No single sensor or platform had defeated the Russian submarine. Rather, it was the synthesis of multiple technologies, the rapid data sharing, the automated processing that turned raw information into actionable intelligence faster than human operators could manually coordinate. This is what modern naval dominance looks like. Not battleships firing broadsides, but information networks so comprehensive that stealth becomes impossible, not dramatic explosions, but the quiet certainty of weapon systems that have already achieved target lock before the enemy realizes they've been detected. The submarine captain made the only rational choice available to him, but rationality in that moment meant accepting complete tactical defeat. The broader strategic implications ripple far beyond one submarine in the Baltic, because Russia's hybrid warfare strategy depends fundamentally on ambiguity, on striking in ways that avoid clear attribution and direct retaliation. But when technological superiority eliminates that ambiguity, when every action can be tracked, documented, and countered in real time, the entire strategic framework collapses. Invisible aggression becomes public humiliation when your adversary can prove exactly what you attempted and demonstrate they could have destroyed you with trivial ease. The Baltic Sea, once a contested region where Russian submarines could operate with relative freedom, had become a monitored space where attempted aggression invited immediate, precise, and humiliating response. The message Moscow received was crystal clear. The era of uncontested hybrid operations beneath the waves has ended. Technology has caught up with stealth. Integration has overcome isolation, and the United States Navy's ability to detect, track, and target submarines in supposedly undetectable conditions represents a paradigm shift in maritime warfare. This confrontation reveals the future of conflict, where wars won't always be fought with missiles and explosions, but with sensors and data, with network integration and processing speed, with the ability to turn the ocean darkness into an illuminated battlefield where nothing remains hidden for long. If this breakdown of modern submarine warfare and NATO's technological superiority fascinated you, smash subscribe for more real military operations analysis. Comment whether you think Russia will attempt another Baltic operation, or if this humiliation changed their calculations forever. Remember, in network naval warfare, the ocean isn't dark anymore. It's transparent, and every submarine is just one detection away from becoming a tracked target with nowhere left to hide.